Morning, 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 Roger. Gotta make sure I'm looking at. Okay, I gotta concentrate. Like I'm in a newscast here. Roger, real deep cool, coming at y'all, and hope y'all having a good morning. It's Monday morning. I felt compelled to get up this morning to say some things, and I think it's important, especially after really delving into some things yesterday that really just, oh goodness, just really had me tripping. As far as I know I posted some of them on the internet for you on Facebook page, but it had me concerned. I mean, I'm not like anybody else. I guess the people who made the videos that I was watching yesterday, and then I'm the one who watched them. So either I believe them or I don't. But I was just really kind of disturbed after I looked at this whole entire video for about an hour and a half, and it really made a lot of sense to me in a sense. So that kind of had me thinking after yesterday. I was out with the Rugrats. I hadn't seen my niece and nephew in a while, so it was a good thing. But I was still had that in the back of my mind. It's very, very important that we realize that the earth is not going to go on forever, and I guess Scripture has to become manifest one day or the other, where the end of the earth or whatever it is, end of the world, and all the revelation stuff got to come to pass. You know what I mean? And it just seems as though it's more sooner than later in what I'm looking at. So I just felt as though it was a good time for me to reflect on my life as a Christian and as a believer, with the faults and the real. Because y'all know I keep it real. I'm not gonna hide anything from you. I'll just keep it real with you. And I'll just start right here. I was raised as a Christian. My mother, like all of our mothers, took us to church. If we've had that type of mother or father, taking us to church. I grew up with a mother and father in the household. They were together until they both passed away. So, I've always had a mother and father. So I've seen that structure, and I respected that structure. It wasn't a perfect structure, but it was a structure. Knowing that when I came up, we ate at a table, we didn't eat out, we didn't eat McDonald's and all that good stuff. There wasn't a McDonald's really. And if there was fast food, we weren't going to eat there anyway because my mother cooked every day. She was a homemaker more than she homemaked more than she worked for someone. At any rate, so I was growing up in that era, and I was fortunate enough to have both my mother and father raise me. So to have that as an institution, and knowing, my mother went to church, my father didn't go that much, but my mother was the one who went to church every Sunday. I prayed for the family and kept us strong, and kept her faith strong to keep us hanging in. So I wasn't a stranger, like a lot of folk are not strangers. So I came into church somewhere in 1994, 95, I think. I had met my wife at the time, and we was going through some struggles. I was still going through some struggles as to how that situation was working out. And I'm not going to get into detail about that. We're talking about my life as a Christian, in, out, and now back in. And it was like, I was like, all right, cool. We had decided that we were going to try to keep this together and eventually get married. So one Sunday, I mean, not that Sunday, but it was one week, they said, we was going to church off and on to this particular church. I'm not going to name any names of any churches in anything I say today. You need to go, and you should get saved. And my sister, going and getting saved, and walking down the aisle, getting saved, and so on and so forth. So I'm like, all right, because you go to church, and then of course at the end they say, if anybody doesn't have a church home, or you don't know Christ, and you want to get to know Christ, you want to live life, come on down. And, if you're going in one of them situations where you're going through troubles and pains, and that's how it goes, and you come walking down and you ask for that. And at that particular point, I can't say I was really going through anything in particular that prompted me to have to make that walk, because again, I was raised in the church. But then again, a long thing happened between the time that I was raised in the church with mom and stopped going when I was 16, when she didn't make it an option for me anymore, or I didn't have to go anymore. It was an option, to the point, I went through the Navy and all that stuff, and now I'm at this point, maybe 15 years later or so, that now here I'm about to walk down this aisle. So I walk down this aisle, and I go through a right hand of fellowship later on, get baptized, all that. And it was the thing. It was, yo, all right, cool. So just like anything else with me. If you guys know me over the year that I've started doing videos, whether it's about fragrances, fashion, working, all that stuff, when I go in, I go all in. So, I wanted to go all in. I wanted to be on fire for Jesus. I wanted to, do what I had to do, and fire for my church and that to do. So, me, I was playing in the church. I was playing bass, guitar, whatever. I was trying to contribute, even though I was still working. I was trying to be there on Sundays. I had Sundays off, and I would play. And he was like, "Can you play for us? Can you play for us?" Yeah, I'll be there. And I come on Wednesday nights. If I couldn't make it on Sundays, I do Wednesday night. When they would have the youth choir singing and so on and so forth, I would come on Wednesday nights and I would play. That's how I stayed, in the church. And still trying to live the life. But, just like anyone else, I would think. But I'm not going to talk about anyone else. Leave that alone. For me, it just became tough in the sense that I was trying to live it quickly. I was trying to go in all right, cool. Once I got saved, I cut out secular music. Just cut it out. I want to listen to that. So I was listening to more WFIL. I found this channel. I found this Christian channel, WFIL. I found Charles Stanley, who's really the only preacher I would check out. Because I don't want to be bouncing around to different preachers. I wanted one preacher I knew I was comfortable with. I knew he was telling me the truth. I knew he always read from a Bible in his hand. He never took anything out of context. He never went all the way over here and tried to bring it back to make you feel like you felt something out of the Bible, but he always just stayed in the Bible. And it was very important to me that I was involved with a preacher that always stayed in the Bible and didn't, make up his own thing, his own interpretation per se. It came out the Bible, and you were able to interpret it yourself by just a little leading you to the water and helping you to make the decision to drink what was read. And that was good for me. It was comfortable for me. And then at that particular point, he had a show that was coming on every Sunday. So if I couldn't make it to work on Sunday, I couldn't make it to church on Sunday, I would just check out his sermons on Sunday. And then he was all week on WFIL. I think he was on 8:30 and 4:30. So I was in it. I was in it hard. I was doing it. And then, but I was still staying with my girl. You know what I'm saying? So one night I get this call from a friend of mine I grew up with a long time ago. And he started trying to start a ministry, trying to be pastor and so on and so forth. And I was laying in the bed that night. And he had said, "What you doing?" I was like, "Man, I'm chilling here with my girl, man, I'm bed, really, Roger? All right, cool, man. It was good to hear from him." I said, "Well, how'd you get my number, man? I ain't talked to you in a long time." He was like, "Man, I just happened to saw your number, man. I figured I'd give you a call." I'm like, "All right, cool." And he was sounding different. He wasn't sound like the old dude that I grew up with when we was playing in a band and we was chasing women. He didn't sound like that dude anymore. He sounded totally different. So I was like, all right, so what's up, man? What's going on? He was like, "Man, I'll tell you, man, that, I just felt a little calling, I'm starting this ministry." I think he was talking about, I can't remember all the, because this has been years ago. But I think he was saying something about that. And then he said, "Well, how long you been with your girlfriend?" He started delving a little bit. And I'm like, "I've been on for like 2 years, so on and so forth." I told him the situation about Bobby. He said, "Well, Roger, you saved." And I was like, "Well, yeah, in fact, man, I just walked down the aisle. And, I'm getting ready to get my word. I have a fellowship. I'm getting ready to go to class, new beginner's class and so on and so forth." He was like, "But, you say you're staying with your girl." Something like that. I'm paraphrasing all this. I'm just trying to remember. Like I said, it's been years ago. I'm talking about 1994-ish. And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Well, man, you gotta get out of there. You gotta get out of that thing like that." And I'm like, "What you mean?" He was like, "Well, you're believing now. You can't be living with your girl like that. It's living in sin. You can't be." I said, well, when?" I said, I just I just took that walk down the aisle. I just took it. And, man, I just can't up and leave. He was like, "Well, Roger, you gotta get out that thing, no, man." I said, "Well, look, I was told, man, I was saved. I was always saved, no matter what I did. I'm not doing this on purpose. I mean, we have an intention to eventually get married. We're not living up here just to be living. I mean, once we both walked down the aisle and became Christians and we accepted, the Lord into our life, and start to try to work this thing out, however long the process is, we just can't." I'm telling you, Rod, you gotta get out that thing. That was it. About a week later, man, I ain't even talked to her after that night because I didn't want to tell her what my man, because she ain't no dude from Can of Paint. She never knew the dude in her life. Never even talked about him. And probably about a couple days later, I said, "Babe, I think it's best that I move back to my mom's crib until we get ready to do our thing." And she was like, "Well, why are you doing that?" And I'm like, "Because, now we saved, we ain't supposed to be living in sin like this. We ain't supposed to be living with each other, not being married, we still, we having sex and so on and so forth." She said, "Well, we're getting ready to get married, we're going to get married soon enough, so ain't no need for you moving out." I was like, I gotta go. This brother convinced me to leave up out of that house, move back into my mom's. And that was the start of a year and a half of unbelievable stress, anxiety. I mean, it was just unbelievable what I went through for almost a year, y'all. It was just crazy. And again, I felt compelled to tell you the story because, again, I'm a real dude. You know what I mean? And my decision to come back, to be that prodigal son, to come back and pay respect and give God his due and give Christ his due and give the Holy Spirit his due was very important to me because I had to get to a certain point, which you guys really know. Y'all know what happened that drove me back to to pray to God. God allowed me to come back, which is most important. And so again, back to that situation. So I'm like, man, I'm going through it, man. I ain't know what to do. I wasn't with her no more. I'm not listening to secular music no more. I ain't drinking my Lambrusco no more. We used to play ball and I'd drink some Lambrusco like it was Kool-Aid, man. That was my thing. I might get a little tipsy, but it wasn't no big deal. I ain't get drunk because, I'm around kids. I'm around her children. I ain't having children. So, I help raise her children and everything. Not help, but, I'm a guardian, whatever you want to call it. And so on and so forth. But again, I'm making this big transition real quick, and I'm trying to jump into Jesus fast. You know what I mean? I'm doing it too fast. I'm taking everything literal. I'm thinking I'm going to hell every time I just think a bad thought. And it was just crazy. Man, y'all just don't know where that can lead you. There are people out there who won't admit to this. And, but I'm cool with it. I ain't got no problem with it because I am who I am. And I just felt compelled that I had to pray on. I asked Lord, is this cool for me to do? And just let me do it in my way. I don't want to be preaching. I ain't going to have a Bible next to me. I ain't doing none of that. I'm just telling you the real from my perspective. And because I've just been thinking about a lot of things lately. So after doing that and after me going through this dark space, finally I got to the point where I told her, let's get married. Now I'm going to admit to you that once I made that transition into living a Christian life, I really didn't really want to be married. But I was at this point of going through this struggle. And I wasn't getting any help from my church. I wasn't getting any help from the pastor. I went one time to the pastor and he was like, well, you're just having a pity party. I'm like, what? And that threw me off. That's what threw me out of organized religion. That was it. Me and his daughter, you probably know what I'm talking about now. Well, anyway, I was cool with someone else in the church. And she was like, Raj, because we was cool. She liked my music and everything. I was trying to do the right thing. I wasn't doing any bad music. She supported me in my music endeavor. She's like, Raj, you got to do this, bada, 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 bing, bada, bing. She kept it real with me, kept it straight. No scripture, no nothing. She kept it straight, human being, trying to live a life like that to me. And I appreciate that from her. She didn't say, well, you need to stop crying and pity. You need to get on your knees and have faith. She didn't do that. She kept a real human being, holler at your boy. And that was cool with me. And it gave me some kind of ease, but still again, the pressure. I took on the pressure of trying to be perfect. I was trying to be Jesus Christ. I was just trying to do it, yo. I wasn't trying to think of the unclean thoughts, my little thing, get a little excited in the morning, man. I want to just beat it down because I'm like, yo, I don't want to be tempted, you know what I mean? I'm trying to stay away from all that stuff. I've been with my girl for 3 years, we having sex like on a regular. We knocking it out. We like, yo, man, like 2-3 times in a row sometimes. We was getting it in. Now I went from not doing that at all to just being this celibate brother who wasn't even trying to look at nothing. I was, not trying to lust after a woman, so making sure I just look at a woman and say, oh, look at that butt, oh, that's it, and I'm out, I was doing stuff like that. It was just so much pressure. And at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you why I think that it's very important that we realize that God is serious business for a church. But God is serious life for us. And this is two different things. And you have to admit to it. And if I break it down to you in a way that I think I'm being felt to break it down to you, I hope I'm saying it right. And I'm not trying to call people heathens and all this stuff, because I'm chief amongst them. So I've never been a person that, people say judge people. I don't even use the word, I don't use the word judge, because that's just bull crap. Or, I'm nobody's perfect. I don't use that phrase. It's not what I use, because I keep it real. So, at the end of this, I'll tell you why I'm saying what I'm saying, if I can connect the dots afterwards. So sometime during that again, I said, well, let's get married. And I wasn't ready to really be married. My mother did. My mother knew I wasn't ready to get married. She was like, well, you over here. Why are you marrying her? I was like, Mom, I took the right hand of fellowship now. I'm in church and whatever. I think it's the right thing to do. She said, but y'all been going through in and out, off and on. You've been doing some things. She said, I don't think it's right. I don't think you should go. My mother was devout. And, she knew her son. She knew her son well, but she knew she had to let her son do what her son had to do. And I was like, Ma, I got to do it. So as I sat down there that night and I was dressed and I was sitting down in my studio and I was sitting in the chair and I was rocking back and forth like this in my chair. I don't know, it might have been this chair. And I was rocking back and forth in the chair. I'm dressed and everything. My pop, he's over at the church. My boys, they at the church. Her family at the church. And honest to goodness, man, after hearing what Mom said, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. And if somehow my wife, who's not my wife anymore, but she's about to be married again, by the way, and we're still cool, if she ever hears this, she just needs to know the truth that I really wasn't ready. I really didn't want to do it, but because I knew there was people waiting at the church, I knew I had said I was going to do it. But I knew after Mom touched me, and I think the Lord touched me, I couldn't back out. So what I decided to do was I said, well, look, I'll just get married and I'll just try to make this work within myself to not prove Mom wrong, because I never want to prove Mom wrong. I just want to let her know that, I'll try. If it's not what I'm supposed to be doing, I'll just try. And, my mother had nothing against my wife, nothing at all. My mother loved everybody. She loved everybody. My mother, one of them people that I wish I could be. I strive to be a person to just see the good in everybody, to see the good. But there's just so much mess going on out here, y'all, that sometimes you got to acknowledge that there's some dirty, rank people out here that's just feeding us stuff and doing us wrong and doing us dirty, man. They just got to be called for what they call for. You can't always just try to sugarcoat over people who doing you wrong or telling you wrong things or saying things about you that's not right. It's your right to address that and be at that. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I know Mom wouldn't have never said anything wrong about that sister. I knew she really cared for that sister as well as she cared for me. But and she loved her kids too. Like they were her grandkids. Every time they came over and visited, she really loved her kids. But the fact of the matter is, she didn't think we should be getting married, regardless of whether I was a Christian or not. She knew it just wasn't ready for me. So anyway, we get married, and the night we get married, man, I end up having an attack, a panic attack, because I was like, oh, should I be doing this? And I think I'm gonna try to paraphrase this now for where I was just a couple of months ago and maybe even years ago, real quick, just to jump on this, to crisscross a little bit, is that I thought I needed a woman to complete me, to make my life living as a Christian or attempting to be righteous and live for what God wanted me to do. I thought I needed a woman to do that. I didn't want to do it alone. I didn't feel as though I wanted to do it alone, and that's how I felt. And then one morning I was laying in the bed. I'm talking recently. I was laying in the bed. I'm like, Lord, I just wish I had a woman in my life again. Someone you could send me somebody, whatever. And then I heard, right? I'm telling you, I kind of heard it. How your spirit talk to you. It's like, no, you don't need a woman. You need me. How you gonna put a woman before me? It's like crazy. It's like, yo, it's like, I feel him talking to me like he talking to me, because he relating to me the way I need him to relate. He ain't come out no Bible scripture verses that somebody wrote in the Bible. He ain't take that, even though the Bible's inspired by him. But he didn't come at me like that. He came at me on my own terms. He came at me and he addressed me to where I would understand. He said, well, seriously, this how I heard it. Seriously, you need a woman. So woman is what's gonna do it for you. That's not it. You need me, and then you can do the woman. But right now you need me. You don't need a woman. You get a woman, they ain't gonna do nothing for you. That's it. So now, going back, the marriage, we went a while. We went a good while. We were struggling. We weren't really compatible in some senses, but we loved each other. We had never had a problem. We did what we had to do. Like I said, I was helping. I was a guardian to the children, and I had a great job, same job I have now, of course. And they were able to get health care and so on and so forth. So, and she was able to do health care, and she was able to do her entrepreneur thing. She got to do her own business. She never worked. She had her own business. She had to worry about health care. Kids didn't worry about, everything was good. So, I was in it, but I think we still had problems in the deep root of our marriage because of the way we got married, because of circumstances that I care not to discuss. that people say that you can't step in mud, go through something, and still not have think all the mud gonna come off your shoe. That it doesn't happen that way. Sometimes the mud just gotta stay, and it stayed enough to eventually have us part ways. And in parting ways, I went through another transformation of trying to get myself together, because now I'm like, okay, I'm not going to have this woman. And right after that, I tried to jump right into another relationship with somebody I was knowing musically. And I was like, well, since I'm ready to get out of this relationship, I'm ready to move out, blah, blah, blah. We weren't even divorced yet. I started getting to this because I always felt as though I needed a woman in my life. I always felt that I needed a woman in my life because, again, y'all have to realize from my background, I saw my mother and father together until death. So, that's what it was for me. And that's what I saw. So that's how I was raised. And I was raised to have a dual personality in the sense that I had my mother's compassion, but I had my father's fire. And that was what I was dealing with. So for me to deal with that and now be alone, the first, I didn't think about trying to get myself together. A lot of people say that. Even now, during this dating period and all this stuff, I'm going, well, you need to step back and get yourself together. I said, no, I don't, because I know myself. All I need to know is make sure I get a woman who's going to know me, and that I know her, and that we're going to somehow get it together and we can make it work. And that's how it was. But see, what I was leaving out was really God first. And then I can look to accept a woman. I can look past someone's faults. I can look past, toes and weaves. Hold on, y'all. I gotta grab that. I'll be right back. Yeah, see how early it is. Yeah, I got shorts on. I'm not naked. How early? How early it is. I just had to have a woman, and the way that I wanted this woman, and it still remains the same. I mean, still, I need to be attracted to a woman. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being attracted to the woman that you want to be with. I think it's very important that happens, but it has to be a soul and spiritual thing as well. So with that being said, we divorced, and honestly, after that, I went on a rampage, man. I was kind of upset at myself that I got divorced, but I was still wanting to have a woman in my life. I had some friends I was really tight with that our relationship became sexual relationships, and now I'm not in the church like I used to be because I'm upset at the church because, I was told I was having a pity party and so on and so forth. But I would still go back and forth. But I wasn't going the way I used to go. I didn't have the fire or the zeal like I used to have. And that was the church that brought me in. And then, but I was still trying to go from time to time. I still want to play. I still want to be involved in some way. But I couldn't live this duality of a life. I couldn't do that. But what I noticed, and what I notice now is when it's time for you to put that pressure on that, not to try to live like Christ. You just can't do it. It ain't going to happen. You can forget about that. That's not the deal. The deal is to try to, as I was told by the pastor's wife, not to be sinless, but sin less. But you're going to sin. But once you sin, you ask for forgiveness. Now, to sin over and over, doing the very same thing over and over, and for men, there's a lot of things we're going to do over and over. You know what I mean? Man, y'all know what I'm talking about, dudes. You know what I'm saying? Whether you got a woman or not, you're going to do some things. And to do this over and over is a thing that you may not be able to train yourself out of. Because the thing about it is you're built to look at women. You're built to be attracted to women. You're built to procreate. You're built to make babies. You're built to build a kingdom. That's how it happened. It'll just be one person still here. So you're built for that. It's in your innate nature to do that. Not innate nature, but it's in your nature to do it. It's not innate. It's there. It's prevalent. And it's a response that you get when you get up in the morning or in the middle of the night and you feel that thing. You're like, oh, yeah. And if you got your wife next to you, you start poking. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to mention girlfriends. I'm just saying I'm not trying to promote that. But what I'm saying is that's what it does. It does what nature does what it does. If you're fortunate enough to have your thing working like it should be working. Nevertheless, it was always just putting a woman before God, knowing I had to do that. So it was one day I went to church and I saw these people dressed up in white. And they had on like these hats and they like aprons or whatever, and they had these things. And I later found out they was Masons. And I'm like, oh, okay, that looks interesting. Now, at one time I was invited to be a Mason by this guy at my job. And I was like, I looked at the paperwork, he gave me the paperwork, and I'm like, y'all, Masons, y'all can look it up yourself if you want to find out about it. But I'm not getting into no beef with Masons, you do what you got to do. You know what I mean? It's what it is. And I know what it is for me. And for somebody else to find out, they want to find out, they want to be Mason or you are a Mason, you know, that's totally up to you. But at that particular time, I was like, nah, man, I don't want to pay all them dues. Look at all that, man. I got to do this, got to be there, I got to go through houses and all this stuff, you know. And I have a couple of friends who are Masons now, but I'm like, nah, I ain't, I'm cool with it. I ain't giving them no loot like that. You know, so I was straight. I'm out. But then I delved into Masonry a little bit more, and, you know, I'm like, oh, okay. All right, fine. So one day I found out, well, one day I got to church and all these people, they were sitting in the front rows, like 3 rows, and it was all white, men and women. And I think the women are called Eastern Stars, and the men are Masons and Master Masons and all this stuff. I'm like, well, this, from what I read, this is kind of like crazy. I wasn't comfortable, you know, with that being there in the church. I'm like, well, from what I read, all right, fine. I had a problem with it. And I addressed, not the pastor, but I addressed one of the ministers there, and he was like, well, you know, yeah, and he agreed with me. He was like, yeah, you know, I'm not a Mason either. I read into it and whatever. And I was like, well, how do you feel about them being here like that? You know, and he was like, well, you know, pastor said, you know, sinners gotta, you know, have a place to come to. I'm like, well, so he considered them sinners then, is what you're saying. He considered them sinners. He was like, yeah. He said, well, you know, pastor used to be a Mason as well. And it made sense to me because pastor from down south, you know what I mean? So, you know, coming out of fraternities back then, you know, really when you came out of fraternity, it almost initiated you right into Masonry because it was still a brotherhood. It's supposed to be a brotherhood thing. You know, but there's different Masons, y'all. I mean, there's blue Masons, there's red Masons, I guess. I don't know, all these colors of Masons, blue house Masons. And if you decide you want to look into it, that's totally up to you and what you find out about it. But nevertheless, it was uncomfortable for me. And that's when I made my decision not to go back to that church anymore. Then they started building a new church. My mom passed away, and because I was a member, I was able to bury my mother in the church. She was never a member of a church. And I'll never be a member of a church either. I'll probably just be an in and out. If I start going back, I'll be in and out, but I'm not going to be a member of any church at all. I don't need to be a member of church to have God look over me and love me. So I do understand that, and I do know that I know enough people who are Christians and brothers of the fellowship, even sisters, that if I felt as though I had a problem, you know, we can all get together and just have a little powwow. But I don't need to be amongst a mega church, millions and billions of people. I don't need to do that. If I find a preacher I want to listen to on the radio, WFIL, or whether I want to listen to Charles Stanley, that could be enough for me to get my word. But, you know, I'm not a babe in Christ. You know, I know what it is, and, you know, I've been through it, and I know how to read a Bible. I know how to interpret for myself what that Bible would mean to me, and that verse, that scripture would mean to me. And I don't need anybody interpreting it for me. So that's my level where I stand now. So, again, once I divorced, I started running around. I was going crazy. I was on these dating sites, and I was hitting y'all. I was running them through my place like it was just. But the thing about it is, what I realized this morning before I did this video, I realized that even though I was running sisters through my place, there was some I just did, just hanging out. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie, and thank God I didn't. No one got in trouble as far as health-wise, because I was trying to be careful about that very well. And, you know, it doesn't always work, but, you know, I've God showed mercy on me enough not to have anything happen to me like that. So it was very important to always know that, you know, like I said, God is love. God loves you, man, no matter what you do, man, no matter what it is, man. God gonna love you, you know. And sometimes it just get past you because you feel as though you need somebody else to love you. Like me, I need a woman to love me. I need to make love to a woman. And I was, you know, the sisters I was only maybe 2 or 3 that I just messed around with off the whim, but a lot of sisters I tried to get involved with that I was having sex with, those are women that I thought that I can possibly be part of my life. But again, just like now, you know, they weren't quite, you know, some had children. I didn't want to deal with children. Now I'm free from children. I didn't want to have children. And I knew they had children, but I was still trying to make a way with it. And so on and so forth. And that went on up until right to this very moment. Right into this very moment right now. I had a pretty successful relationship going on, and I admit, and I'm going to admit here, that I blew that due to my impatience, due to my maybe me not being spiritually inclined. She wanted to know that, of course, you know, she's a good woman to me, good in the way that, you know, she respected me and so forth, and we was trying to build something, but I was still think I was putting her in front of God. And, you know, if I had God in my life first, I would probably still be with her, and we would probably still be dwelling. I still think about it an awful lot. And then I got into a relationship after her, and it's pretty much the same. It was like she was almost like a rebound, but we got to start to love each other and everything. But unfortunately, that didn't go either. So now I found myself again by myself, and then I found myself, um, feeling I had to do something. I had to do something to fill the time, um, not having someone in my life, and it wasn't the fragrance thing. I was doing the fragrance even when I had the person in my life, um, when I came here to where I am now. And so other than that, I just knew I had more talents than just sitting around waiting for a woman to come into my life. And that's how that went. So I started getting into fragrances. I started finding more to do. I could have been delving more in my music, getting the CDs released, joining the Grammy Association. But I still felt I had this hole. I needed this woman in my life, and I was just still trying to struggle with this woman I was with, just trying to make it work. Knowing that somehow in the back of my mind, we was breaking up every 5 minutes. We'd break up, get back together, break up for 2 months, get back together. And then I got engaged to her, but it's still nothing really changed in my back of my head because, again, I ain't had God in my life per se. I was still praying. I was still vigilant in praying. I was still asking for mercies and graces. And I think that's why I'm here now, for a lot of mercy and grace. Because I would say to you that if I hadn't changed my lifestyle in the way that I was eating, if I had just been still, the drinking thing wasn't really a thing. Like I said, I worked a lot. I didn't drink. I wasn't an alcoholic status. I didn't have to drink every day because most of the time, y'all know I was working. I was grinding. I didn't have time to drink. But when I drank, I drank. But I was pushing myself. I didn't realize you got to get sleep, and I'm doubling, and I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm trying to burn the candle at both ends. I still want to go out. I want to have fun. I want to live like to the full, as I was saying to y'all, and so on and so forth. And it just got past me. It got past me to the point that all of a sudden I got that feeling in my body and my bones that I need to just check myself. Not spiritually, but at that time, just health-wise. I had to check myself and see what was up. And that's when I found myself in a position of, leading me to make this video. And when I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I was like, if I had kept on going, I probably wouldn't be here, or I would probably be a little bit more in a position of not being healthier than I am now. And thank God, I'm well now. Still going through some things, but I think all those things are challenges in this transition I'm trying to go back through. I'm not trying to get back in good with God because God ain't never left me. So I don't have to worry about getting back in good with God or getting back in good with Christ. And that's not what I'm in it for. I'm in it because it was just a call to get back. There will be a lot of changes, especially females. That's it's gonna be self-control. It's what I got to do, and know that now that God is back in my life, that I can look at things clearly. Things become so much clearer to you when you have the spiritual aspect in your life. Now, again, there are other different beliefs out there. There are people who follow me. I'm gonna put this on YouTube, of course, who may have different beliefs. I mean, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Hindu, I don't know. Whatever your spiritual is, I can't knock your spirit. I'm just saying what works for me and what's going to work for me and what I believe. And but you got to have that first. It's just important you have that, and you can't play with it. You can't. I become upset about people who try to put God, this great God who created everything. I mean,